So, you join me inside a Volkswagen ID3 for another no-nonsense, sensible car review and twin test. I'm in a Volkswagen. My colleague and friend James Disdale is in a Nissan Leaf. Now, normally we would do this sort of thing in the same car and have a chat about it, but for COVID-related reasons we cannot be in the same car at the same time. But trust me that we have both driven both of these vehicles, and because we are consummate road testers, true professionals, some people have even described me, I mean, I would be too modest to say, some people have even described me as the worst car reviewer on the internet. Thanks. We have come to a conclusion which is broadly the same. So James is going to describe the Leaf, I'm going to describe the ID3, and we will conclude, and we kind of both come to the same conclusion, which is helpful. So what is the ID3? Well, it is Volkswagen Group's new all-electric platform in a family car-sized electric vehicle. It is about the length of a Volkswagen Golf. It's 4.3 metres long. It's a little bit wider, a little bit taller, quite a lot heavier. There are various power options and various battery sizes. This has a 201 horsepower electric motor at the rear axle, driving the rear wheels only, kind of like the old Beetle. So with that power output and with this battery fitted too, this car comes in at around £36,000 in the UK after the government grant, which is really similar actually to the Leaf, given it's got a very similar battery, very similar power level, very similar range, and is a very similar size. These two are absolutely the rivals for each other. And underneath the floor in this kind of skateboardy MEB architecture, as they call it, is a 58 kilowatt hour, that's 58 useful kilowatt hours of battery, which is good enough for a WLTP drive cycle range of 260 miles. Now, I don't think you'll get that. It's been a bit chilly the last couple of days. I haven't had the car plugged in overnight. I think you'll see a range of around 200 miles in that kind of form. You get more than that if you were careful and if you started with a warm battery by having it charged overnight and so on. Now, there have been EVs before, there have been electric Volkswagens before. James is in a Leaf which has sold nearly 500,000 units since its launch. But still, I think, and a bloke I saw charging a Nissan Leaf the other day thinks the same, there is still quite a lot of hype and quite a lot of expectation. This feels like quite a big moment that Volkswagen has launched an electric car standalone brand. It feels like the start of, it feels like a waypoint on the journey to EVs that we are going through. And there is something to be said for having a pure electric architecture. This cabin is not like any other Volkswagen. It's really clean, it's really crisply designed. Too much is on touchscreen. Some of the plastics are actually a little bit harder and scratchier than you might otherwise normally expect of a Volkswagen. But in terms of its ergonomics and its usability and the driving position, things that feel familiar and comfortable about Volkswagens are all present and correct. There is one thing though, right? This car has got active lane assist, a lane departure warning system. To turn it off, because it defaults to on, and it just niggles every time you're not totally bang in the centre of a lane. And there are reasons on a country lane why you might not want to be in the centre of a lane. You know, it may be that there's an upcoming gentle right-hander, a lorry's coming the other way, you just actually will keep to the left of your lane a little bit. The steering tries to tug you back the other way. It just doesn't stop nigglingly talking to you and trying to pull the wheel away from you all the time. It is massively irritating, and to turn it off I have to press assist on there, then I have to press another menu button on there, and then I have to press another menu button to actually turn it off, and then I have to press a fourth button to go back to the screen that I wanted to in the first place. Volkswagen will tell you, yeah, but Euro NCAP and regulations say it has to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. The regulations say it cannot be a momentary push of a single button. So it could be a prolonged push, as other manufacturers have confirmed to me, or it could be a quick push of two buttons, but it doesn't have to be that many. It's so irritating. And if it's that hard to turn it off, well, the chances are that when you get back on a motorway and you think, oh, I wouldn't mind that back on, well, you're not going to turn it on again, are you? It's unbelievably irritating. And if it annoys you, don't buy this car. Run over. What is the rest of the car like? Well, as you may know, from what you can hear in the background or can't hear in the background, refinement is strong. This is a really quiet, it sounds stupid, I know, this is a really quiet driving experience. But because there is no engine noise, you do notice wind noise and tyre roar a little bit more. And I think there may be a little bit more than both in here than in the Leaf. This car also feels a little bit firmer than the Nissan. If anything, it feels like this platform is newer and more rigid. As you go along the road, although there is initial compliance to bumps, I think by and large you get more of what a lot of engineers call head toss, where the car moves ever so slightly from side to side. But I think it's comfortable enough. This does ride on 19-inch wheels. You probably wouldn't have to have wheels. We don't have to have the wheels that big, and it may be improved on smaller ones. But there is a nice consistency to the controls, a nice linearity to the throttle and to the brakes and to the steering, which is fairly light, self-centers the right sort of way. It's uncorrupted by torque steer, because of course the power goes to the back and not the front. And as you corner keenly, it retains a fairly flat body, just sort of edges into a slight pushiness, and in a way feels a bit like maybe a Smart or a Renault Twingo